Dear friends, my name is Operator Starsky and it's day 978 of Russia's disastrous invasion of Ukraine. The terrorist forces hit Ukrainian territory with 100 drones, crucial Russian distillery in Voronezh Oblast destroyed, a Russian spy working as a UN volunteer exposed in Donbass, Ukrainian troops prepare to taking North Korean prisoners, casualties among Russian officers revealed, and Putin's lies about the Ukrainian losses in Kursk debunked. This is the Frontline Focus, and we will talk about the most recent updates right now. 66 out of 100 incoming drones were intercepted by the Ukrainian air defense overnight. Additionally, 24 didn't make it to their targets. 4 returned home to Russia and Belarus. Unfortunately, we have reports that several objects of civilian infrastructure were damaged. Also, Russian terrorists hit Kharkiv and Chuhuiv. 21 civilians were harmed, including 6 kids. And because this is a game for two, a powerful explosion in the Russian Voronezh Oblast was witnessed by happy Russian citizens celebrating their war coming home. It was reported that one of the biggest distilleries, ethanol spirit, was obliterated by good Ukrainian drones. Some of you might think that the aim of this strike was to destroy the Russian morale by stopping the production of the biggest vodka enterprise in the region. But it's not really the case. Distilleries like ethanol spirit are used to produce components for the Russian aviation fuel. Therefore, it was a completely legit target for the happy UFOs, otherwise known as Ukrainian flying objects. Security Service of Ukraine reported that a 34-year-old man volunteering for the United Nations Provision Program in Donbass was detained. He provided the terrorists with the data regarding the dislocation of the Ukrainian armed forces around Pokrovsk. His task was to localize the positions of the Ukrainian personnel and artillery involved in defending Pokrovsk from the terrorist Russian forces. The man would collect intel and send it to the Russian FSB officer via messenger. According to my observation, this unexplainable loyalty to the terrorist Russia turned into a real trend among the UN staff. Still waiting for Guterres to resign, by the way. I think nobody would mind about it. According to the all-saint groups analyzing obituaries in the Russian media, it was concluded that as of today, 28th of October 2024, as much as 4,951 Russian officers became good in Ukraine, including 9 officially confirmed dead Russian generals. How many Ukrainian generals were lost? Well, according to the Russian media, only 2 were eliminated so far, Budanov and Zaluzhny, but multiple times. And since they are still alive, there's a risk these 2 extremely brave men will keep dying until the war is finished. Would be interesting to know their opinion about all this like 10 years from now. Also, according to the Russian media, as much as 50 NATO generals were eliminated in Azov Steel and several more in the pizzeria in Kramatorsk. Are they even aware that they are dead? Are we dead when we stop breathing, or it's when the memories about us disappear? It's a rhetorical question, but I think it's much more legit than when Russian media proclaim you dead. I mean, if you read the Russian commentaries under my old videos, I must have died as well back in 2022 during the siege of Kyiv. But the fact is, I'm still here, and the Russian troops around Kyiv are nowhere to be seen. Strange, isn't it? Ukrainian troops were given instructions on taking the North Korean prisoners. Here we have a bunch of commonly used phrases that can be utilized to convince North Koreans to surrender. Let me try. Drop your weapon. Mugi poril. Hands up. Sundira. That is a really easy language, but I would add several more questions. Did you eat last week? Or do you want to see McDonald's? And why does Kim Jong-un looks like a failed alien experiment? As I mentioned in the earlier episodes, the main reason Russia requires involvement of North Koreans is lack of manpower. Even despite the fact that Russia has more than 1 million active personnel and 2 more millions in reserve, Ukraine still is an extremely big country, and considering Russian losses and their current progress, they won't have enough men to take control over the whole country before running out of male population, at least not in this century. Earlier last week, the internationally wanted war criminal Putin held a press conference during the BRICS summit, where he claimed that the Ukrainian losses in Kursk crossed the mark of 26,000 men in a single month. Also, he stated that 19,000 Ukrainian vehicles were destroyed. Dear viewers, imagine 19,000 vehicles, each controlled by a single soldier. It's like every Ukrainian soldier has his own Abrams, and the luckiest among them even have like a gunner. This can only exist in the Russian imagination. Official Russian statistics, that, by the way, should be always divided by 10, claim that the Ukrainian armed forces lost approximately 2,400 vehicles in Kursk. And according to the OSINT analytic Naalsio documenting the losses on both sides for Oryx, visually confirmed Ukrainian losses in equipment are 10 times smaller, as much as 251 vehicles. That is before the 82nd Brigade published the footage showing the road of death, with at least 45 Russian vehicles that can be identified on a single video. Generally, the things aren't going well for Russians in Kursk. For example, a random obituary found in the Russian Telegram channel admit that the glorious Russian 155th Marine Brigade at some point lost a whole platoon in a single attack. And speaking of Putin, he was caught lying about the Ukrainian losses on numerous occasions. For example, in September last year, he stated that Ukraine lost 18,000 vehicles, and already next month he talked about only 1,900 vehicles. Apparently, when you have so many interviews, you tend to forget what were you lying about previously. With that, my friends, I wish you all a beautiful day. Please share your thoughts in the commentaries. I'm Operator Starsky. As always, be safe.